Do you have a product or service or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
Welcome, I am Dr. Daisy Jones, and welcome to this week's edition of Express Yourself. Now, here at Express Yourself, those of you that know, you know what to do, pen and paper in hand, because this show is just not entertainment, but it's for information. Because my guests have so graciously accepted the invitation to come today and share with you. Because the purpose of Express Yourself is to bring positive conversation in the wake of the negative information you may see or hear through the media. Because, see, our focus is to inspire, encourage, enlighten, and also educate on the things that are going on in this world. And today's topic, you really want to listen up, because with my guest today, this world would not be where it is without it. Why? Because it is written, and words have meaning. So we're going to understand the fact of authors, and all of these are prolific authors in various subject matters, because for every author, there is an idea and a person that they're focusing on. So we're going to find out today what type of authors they are and their heart and the audience that they're targeting, because there's someone here for everybody. Now, this does not reflect the views and opinions of Comcast or any of its affiliates. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, get ready with pen and paper, because it is written.
Do you have a product or service or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
We're back. So let's get started, because I am so excited for my guests that are here today. First of all, I'm going to go to my right, and I have a gentleman here that a lot of us, including me, would want to get really read this book and get a clear understanding on the title, I Ate My Way Back to Health. So can you? And it is J. Morgan Brown. Thank you so much for being here. And next to J. Morgan, I have a wonderful girlfriend of mine she's knocking a lot of things out in the industry. But aside from that, we're going to get into her writing abilities, because she's penned 2 books. One is called In and Out the Dugout, and I really want to find out about that, because it says a resurrection from street life, right?
Yes.
And also The Door, Journey to the Unknown, and that's really interesting. We're going to see where she's going with that, and that's Miss Kathy Howard. So glad to see you again. Now to my left, I have the guru side of the and you'll see what I'm saying when we get into the conversation. First of all, we have Miss Sonia N. Williams, and she has a different kind of book. And what's it called?
Girl, that selfie will self-destruct.
Yeah, listen, we're going to hear that one. And next to her, of course, we have an awesome gentleman that I've also had the pleasure of meeting. And his book, now check this out, Breaking the Spirit of Average. Now, we all need to do a little bit of that. And that's in the form of Joseph B. Washington. And now let's get back into this, because I'm really interested in finding out. Okay, Joseph, let's go back to you, Breaking the Spirit of Average. But first of all, where are you coming from, and how long have you been in this area?
Well, I've been here about 17 years, and originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and moved to San Diego, California when I was in elementary school with my mother, and matriculated back to North Carolina to go to A&T State University, and I'm just enjoying Atlanta, Georgia, and all the festivities that are here, and just trying to change some lives.
Great, because that's, everybody has a purpose, and a part of all the things that we are, there are people that are designed to be writers because everybody can't be writers. As a matter of fact, Miss Sonia, talk to us. Where are you coming from? And we'll get into the details of the selfie.
Well, I'm actually from Jacksonville, Florida. I've been in Georgia for quite some time, I guess about 2 decades. We're going to leave it at that. And I spent most of my time in technology, living online and social media, and just learning and understanding the psychology of people and what we are capable of.
Right. Now, people are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things people are capable of. And Jay.
Jamie.
But I like to call you
Okay,
Jay Morgan.
you can call me
I
whatever you
just
like.
love that
You can
on
call me
you.
whatever
You
you
just
like.
look like a Jay Morgan to me. And the capabilities. But first, tell me where you're coming from. And I'm really anxious to find out about how you penned this book. But where are you coming from, and what brought you to Atlanta?
I came here in 2000 from Los Angeles, where I was engaged in television for a long time. I came here, I thought I was going to go to law school, and I was married, and things happen in your marriage, and it didn't work. So I went back to what I knew how to do, which was film and television production. At that time, TV was still growing in Atlanta. So I just stayed as active as I could, writing for the news. And one day, I went to the mailbox to get my mail. And when I opened up my mailbox, I went blind.
You went blind.
I went blind. Yeah,
And now you can see.
Now I can see.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Let's
Yes.
talk to Miss Kathy, but you really got to explain that. Miss Kathy.
Yes.
As far as now, you've penned 2 books, and I know the In and Out, the Dugout. Is that that's your first book?
Yes, that's my first book.
Okay. Talk to us about being in and out. Well, where are you coming from, and how did you land here in Georgia?
I am from East St. Louis, Illinois, and I came here October the 30th, 2011. And I landed here because the Lord sent me here. Yeah.
Okay, now he sent you here, and regarding the purpose of being writers, because you know there is somebody out there that may be thinking about wanting to be a writer, and I want to let's talk about what inspires a writer. Kathy, as a writer, what inspired you to pen it? And there's different types of books. What inspired you to be a writer?
Well, I left home at the age of 16 to become an actress. And at the age of 20, I graduated from high school. And from that day, when I gave my life to Christ, what I did was he told me to put all my pain on paper. And when I put all my pain on paper, it became a book. So I was inspired to write my story, not knowing that the story I'm writing now has really influenced people today to change their lives.
Well, as a writer, though, life cannot be lived and understood without the written writers, because anything that you're learned from, it's all in a book. Because to go to school, what do? Read a book.
You read a book? Yes.
Right. The book of life that gives a history of life is a book. So I feel that people that have been graced and anointed is what I call it. Because when you pen a book, when you're writing it, and I want each one of you to think of this, when you're writing the book, what is your heart, what's your heart desire when you're writing this book?
My heart desire to write a book is to help someone, to empower them to change from where they at, and maybe my story might be the story that can change, because everyone is connected to someone. We just don't know who. So your story can go a long way once you put it on the paper, pen and paper, and you produce the book, because you can't get to everybody individually talking, but they can read your story, and that just your story can change that person's life. I always say this: we all are connected to someone, and we have a way and a purpose to make sure that we reach those people that God have connected us to. And he has a way to show us, and sometimes it can be through writing, media, whichever way you come across a person, that's when you know that your life is going to reflect something about them daily.
Right, because like when you said, when it all started, things in our life, when it all started, it makes people think about themselves, because your first chapter in and Out, the Dugout, is when it all started.
Right, and I talked about when I was 16 leaving home, and I saw the difference between having and have not. And that's when I saw that difference between having and have not, it made me want to become more than what I was already. We came from a poor family. We was very poor. East St. Louis is a very poverty area. And I saw the difference when I met another young lady who was playing up and down the street, and their family had a large television. We had a small one. So I wanted to know, how could I get to that place? So I shared with my dad that I wanted to leave home, and he gave me the okay to leave. But he also understood that, you know what, and it was 8 of us, and he also understood that something different was inside of me, which was greatness. So we all have some form of greatness inside of us. So to be inspired to write with your story to unlock someone else's greatness is really great.
Well, you know, that is really an awesome way to move over here to Joseph here with breaking the spirit of average.
Right.
Talk to me about what inspired you to share the knowledge and your experience in regarding breaking the spirit of average.
You know, I grew up with a severe speech impediment, and I stuttered severely for the first probably 14 years of my life. But I had an amazing mother who told me, Joseph, if you would be willing to participate in your own rescue and not play the victim, your mom was going to help you. As I matriculated into my adult life, now I'm speaking and I can articulate well. You would have thought that I would begin to do some amazing things, but I began to surround myself around average people who were doing average things, and then I found myself being average. Once I had a family, I realized that my family was average. I lived on Average Boulevard, average job, average car. Everything about me was average. And one day I just had an epiphany. I wanted to break the spirit of average. And I figured out these 7 principles to enable to turn my average into awesome. Because like many people, Doctor, I was living a life of quiet desperation with the hopes that you never find me out. Because I looked good on the outside, I could dress well, but on the inside, I was an average guy. So I wanted to set out to change that.
Okay, you're smiling, Sonia. Talk to me. As far as the inspiration and for you to be a writer, and also listening to what Joseph said.
Well, for me, it was more about seeing all of these different types of people online and not really being authentic. And what people fail to realize is that when you own your authenticity, right, you will do great things. So for me, I think people were looking for permission, right? Looking for permission to succeed, looking for permission to go to the next level. And I just saw people not being who they say they are. Now, mind you, I also own an online dating website, so I've seen a lot of things, right? And so Big Brother is always watching in the digital sky. So for us, I really wanted people to understand, how do you take that very authentic voice that you got and transition that into something that is very meaningful to you, and then you capitalize on it. So when I did any website or whatsoever, people say, you know, I thought I was going to come in talking about a website. I said, you are. And what I'm doing is actually talking about them, where they're going and how they're going to get there. And it's more of a business development than it is building a website. And so by the time we got done, they say, well, we're going to talk about a website. I said, oh, girl, I already did your website.
Well, and you know, that's something that I, as a person knowing you, that you're very good at, because where you are is basically what you saw and captured within yourself. And that was very key to what you said about people knowing who they are and being authentic. And to be authentic is to develop who you really are.
Well, people rely oftentimes on, they think they got choices. You got 3 things I always tell people. You got control, you got choices, and you got your conscience. People make mistakes because they feel like they got choices.
Look at that camera and say that again.
Okay, so which part?
Control.
Yeah, so people have choices. Let me say that over. People think they got choices. The reality of the situation is that when you look at it, you got control, you got choices, and you got your conscience. What you want to realize is that choices is nothing but choices, and oftentimes we choose the wrong thing. If you rely on your conscience to drive what it is that you do, it always generally puts you in a place where you want to be. Most times, your purpose lives in your conscience, because if you didn't do it, you start feeling guilty about not doing something.
I like that. I like
right?
that. Yes, yes.
So,
yes.
But people choose choices, and then they go back to their conscience. So why not put your conscience first as opposed to your choices first, so you have better control of your life?
Good way to go on break. We'll be right back, because speaking of control, Jay Morgan, what you do and you wrote about shows choices. We'll be right back.
Do you have a product or service or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
We're back. Now, speaking of choices, Jay Morgan,
Yes.
when you penned this book, I Ate My Way Back to Health. So can you talk to us about what inspired you to write a book? And you were talking about blind.
Yes.
Okay, let's take it up from right there.
Sure. So when I went blind, no one understood. For 10 years I had suffered with allergies. I had a headache every day for 10 years. I was in and out of the hospital. They didn't know what was wrong. So all they did was up the ante on my medication. So one day I went to my mailbox. And when I pulled the mail out, my eyes just shut down. But no one really understood what was going on with me. So I was later diagnosed that I had brain cancer. So no one lives with brain cancer. So a godson came to my home one day and he started laughing. I said, why would you be laughing at me and I have cancer? He said, because cancer is one of the easiest diseases to cure. Cancer is one of the easiest things to cure? He said, yes, we should not be dying of cancer. The most horrific experience in human history was the slave trade. And there was not one case of cancer ever reported. So now what did they do? We should not be dying. So when he told me about a law that says cancer can't live in an alkaline environment, I didn't even know what alkaline was. But you know, I went to do my research. Cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment. So the first thing I did was alkaline my system. And when they cut my skull open, they asked me, they said, when you came in, your tumor was the size of 2 golf balls. And now it's not even a quarter of 1 golf ball. What are you doing? I said, well, I changed my diet. And so the medical profession said, no. So Sanjay Gupta was my surgeon. And I had 3 of the so-called world's leading neurologists do the surgery because I'm the only one who had this type of tumor at my age. The tumor that I had is only found in infants and babies. The oldest living case was 11 years of age. So when I got into changing my diet, I discovered that I didn't have allergies, I didn't have cancer anymore. And since then I've cured about 5 cases of breast cancer, prostate cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure.
You're going to have to come back up to another portion of my show because that is so interesting because I have a show that's called Living in Good Health. And I am so glad you're here today because we need to extrapolate from you more information because, and as I'm thumbing through your book, you've got like the supermarket, trips to the supermarket, and things of that nature. And I love the fact that you have enlaced what you're learning with a deeper, as Joseph was having, the spirit. And that's where a lot of things have to be addressed. Because, you know, audience, now you hear us saying things about God, the spirit, and all of that, and you say, oh, this is one of them Christian shows. No, life is designed through a power greater than any man. So when you look at where life came, it's a greater power than another man is why you're here. And for you, Jay, this is how you really came to the conclusion of what you're doing, right?
The interesting thing is that when I went to see my surgeon, I asked the doctor, I said, well, my surgery was over $300,000. And so when I went to the hospital to pay my bill, she said, your bill has been paid. And to this day, we don't know who paid my bill.
Oh, girl, let me talk to Kathy a minute and get me back, reel me back in, because I could do a 2-step for real right now. Kathy,
Yes.
when you talk about your experience at 16, and when you decided to do what you do, what motivated you to do that?
What motivated me to do that, because again, I shared with you earlier, I saw the difference between have and not. And the motivation was I wanted to become better than what my environment was. I understood that my environment was poor, but there was greatness within inside of me. So the motivation is to get out of the out of the ghetto. That motivated me. I knew that I was an eagle. I knew without a shadow of a doubt. Because when you know that something is greater than what you see, guess what? You already know that you got to find birds of your own kind. Right. So I had to fly where I needed to be at. I needed to get to a place where I know none of.
Well, okay, and for you, Kathy, I do know, because I met you when you first came, you took that Eagle flight.
Yes.
To here to Georgia and created Dugout 7 Ministries for the Performing Arts.
Yes.
And just quickly, I'm sure that the door, Journey to the Unknown, Dugouts is a part of that?
Yes, the Dugout came from the first book. Dugout means a place where one weight was not in the game, or a pit of hell. And the number 7 is completion. So my hell was completed. Now, and I saw a door at the age of 16, and that door was obtainable. That's the financial wealth. It was obtainable. But knowing that I was going to have to go through a journey to get there. So what I did was I called those things forth before I got it.
Because it was in your head.
It was in my spirit. It was in my heart.
Yes.
I saw it. I saw it. I saw the door. And I knew that the door was obtainable, not knowing that I was going to have to go through a journey to get to it.
Right, and this book, The Door, Journey to the Unknown, really breaks that down regarding how
it breaks down healing and deliverance. One thing about going after something, before you get to it, you're going to go through a journey. You have to be healed and delivered. You can't preach and minister or talk to people when you're in the space that they're in. So you have to come out in order to be effective.
Right, to know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, Joseph, yes. When we're looking at breaking the spirit, talk to us about breaking the spirit of average. We got a couple more minutes before we go on another break. Explain to us about where this breaking the spirit, how do you do that?
Well, you notice the book is not called Bending the Spirit of Average, and it's not called Shrinking the Spirit of Average. It's called Breaking the Spirit of Average. You've got to make up in your mind, as she said, that enough is enough, that you want to matriculate to a different level. I think the problem with most people is that they become comfortable with being average. And when you're around average people who do average things, you yourself, really, you live this average life. And I think that you have to make up in your mind that you want more out of life, and not this woohoo guru stuff. I mean, you got to work at it. I mean, she talked about it's work. This is not going to happen overnight. My process of breaking the spirit of average did not happen after the 7 steps. That was the beginning. Yes. The process was putting the work in to get from average to awesome. I just got sick and tired of being what I was at. I got tired of going to these family reunions, hearing about people what they used to do. And I'm saying there's a big old life out of it. I got tired of living vicariously through the opulence of other wealthy people on that show called Cribs. And you see all of their stuff and you go, man, I wish I could have that. Why not? I got tired of not having enough to be able to help somebody else. And so I made a decision that I was going to break the spirit of average, create these 7 principles from the word average. And I'm telling you, they absolutely work. But you got to be willing, first and foremost, to participate in your own rescue. There are no handouts.
Look at that camera. Say that again. You got to be willing to do what? Look at camera one over there.
You got to be willing to participate in your own rescue, because there are no handouts and life is no practice run. You get no do-overs with this. So the time is now to pull the trigger and move forward. Nobody is waiting for your success. You have to create that success.
All right, and I'm just thumbing through your book as you're talking to it. I see you here in your book, you have space for people to write their thoughts and that sort of thing. Like this value your time. Value your time.
There you go.
Not somebody else's. Because you are the only person that is with you 24/7, for real. No matter where you go, you're there. Miss Sonia, talk to us, because I know you too, from how you developed to be the guru that you are on your own, basically.
Well, what I realize is that there are a lot of voices that sometimes it's not even about the people that's on the outside of you. It's about the people that's on the inside of you. Most of the time, people, what I found out is that you have voices in your head telling you to do something, and it's not just one voice. It's a lot of different voices that say, sit on that couch and stay there longer. Don't go be on time, you know. Once you realize how many voices I think that you're fighting in your head, you're able to actually fight them off once you recognize them. People don't recognize the voice of procrastination, the voice of I can't, I will, or I just won't. They do not recognize the things that really hold them back. And sometimes it's not the people. It is our own self not giving ourselves permission to succeed. So for me, I literally had to, it's ourselves not giving ourselves permission to succeed. And I literally had to give myself permission to succeed. I had to understand what voices in my head was telling me that I am not good enough because I got a GED, and the closest I got to college was down the street. At the end of the day, what woke me up is that I remember standing in my environment, right? And people say, oh, this is my web girl. And I used to get so angry about them saying, this is my web girl. And so one day, it just dawned on me that we were in my office on the 15th floor, okay, that I had my own key to. All of my friends, they all had jobs to go to because they had to leave, okay, and they were eating my food under my lights, and I had paid for everything. In that moment, I had to realize that what voice was in my head telling me that I wanted to be like them, right? Sometimes you don't know that you are in a greater position than you think because something is telling you that you can't be who you want to be. You could be anybody you want to be. You could achieve anything you want to achieve. I'm standing getting an Entrepreneur of the Year award with a billionaire, right? And it just dawned on me that I'm standing, this man a millionaire, right? Now, I've made my millions, and I did things that ordinarily the average person couldn't. You're right. Being average was just not good enough. Right? But when you don't accept just being good enough, which oftentimes our people do, being good enough and having people that are just good enough around you and being able to recognize that is two totally different things. We have to recognize what good enough looks like and not accept good enough.
Right. And that's really going to be a real neat way to come back on this after this break. But now, audience, are you good enough? Is it good enough for you what you're doing right now? Is those voices in your head telling you, oh, you okay, you can live right like this for the rest of your life? Or is there a voice in you saying you're greater than that? And we're not talking about the voice of haughtiness, pridefulness. We're talking about that voice that you were actually born with, because in the book that I call the Bible is greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. What that means, translates to me, is no matter what anybody else say to you, you're greater than that. And you want to break the spirit of average. You want to come out of the dugout and dig out and go through that door, the journey to the unknown, because nobody knows what is designed for you because they did not create you. We'll be right back.
Do you have a product or service, or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
We're back. I tell you, I'm just loving this. Now, you know what I do, don't you? I'm going to put them on the spot. You'll be back, you'll be back, you'll be back, right? Say yeah. Everybody say yeah.
Yes.
They're on tape. Good, we got it. Let's continue. Now, when we were talking about listen to others, okay? And we want to go back into the fact of your writers, because the audience is saying, well, you're saying don't listen to anybody, what are they? Because you listen to somebody that is giving from their heart and their experiences. Remember, this is experience and observations, positive conversation. And you want to, as Sonia was saying, what were you saying about looking around at the people around you and finding out, whoa, do I want to be here?
You got to do an assessment. You got to do an assessment. Assessment isn't for the big corporations or anyone else. You got to be able to do an assessment and really recognize the people and the things that you have around you. Like I actually left home at, I think I was about 15. I had just turned 15. And you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be somebody's executive, right? So for me, I had such a purpose to do something, and every day it drove me wild, not understanding what that is. And oftentimes, I was always the one raising my hand, trying to find out more, trying to do more. Even when you have a job that only seems average, but you can make more out of it. I remember I was a forklift driver learning SAP. SAP is a 6- and 7-figure job, okay? And here I am, a forklift driver, the only one raising my hand. It was like, oh, I'll do it. What is that, Go Live? Right? And SAP, not knowing that I would take that particular knowledge and actually go and start my own company. It's European, just UK, it was amazing. But you got to be able to do more than what you're wanting to do or what somebody wants you to do. Oftentimes, the person that gets the job is the person that shows up early and leave late. And then they often wonder, it's like, well, I've been here a long time. Well, how come she get the job? Well, I don't know. Maybe the fact that she showed up early and she left late and she was willing to learn what she didn't know walking through the door. People got to stay uncomfortable in their positions. You got to stay uncomfortable. You got to stay hungry. And for me, not having the formal education, especially when you're in technology, I went to Google University. It was the best thing I ever did for me. It allowed me to I became a dream maker, because when people would come to me and they was like, oh, can you do my website? Absolutely. I did a whole bunch of websites for free, but for me, it was perfecting what it is that I do today.
Right? Yeah,
so you
right.
have to be able to address what it is that you think you cannot do, and just do it.
Well, Jay, and looking at through your experience with dealing with health issues and something that's serious, the drive that you had, talk to me about that. Let the audience know what would drive, because you know, health issues, and I'm sitting here, you know, really being thankful for a lot of stuff.
Me too.
But knowing what you know, it's so, you need to share that, because a lot of people think that cancer is to death. For me, I don't think it is either. Talk to us about that, because that's really serious.
Absolutely. You know, it's a God-given right to be healthy, first and foremost. And one of the biggest lessons that I had learned in my experience is that my health is my responsibility. It's not the doctor's responsibility. It's not your spouse's responsibility. It's your right. It's your responsibility. So once I adopted that philosophy, it was just about moving forward from there. Learning, getting information, like she just said so brilliantly. Google was my friend as well. So I learned about foods, and I learned about the foods that can cure cancer. And I invested in that research. So I think that, you know, my book is not written for someone who's well-versed about education, about nutrition. My book is for those who don't know about nutrition, people who know they need to make a change, but don't know where to start or how to begin. That's my audience.
Right.
I enjoy the gift of life. And through nutrition, life is just the greatest experience that I'm enjoying right now. And I think that we know that we have to make dietary changes. And we go and we do all these different diets. And I always say diet only helps the person who created it. You understand? So we have to look at our health and know that it's a God-given right to be healthy. And the body desires to be healthy. Your body's your best friend. It wakes up with you every day. It wants to take you through your day to accomplish everything you can possibly want. But just like a car, you have to give it good food. You can't put bad gas in your car and expect your car to run optimally. So food is the same way. So for me, it's a perspective. For me, it's recognizing if health is a God-given right, and if the body desires to be healthy, the body doesn't want to be sick. And I think our misinformation navigating our way through life when it comes to food, we eat for all the wrong reasons. We eat because we're hungry, opposed to you eat to prevent from getting hungry.
Say that again.
Well, actually, Americans, we're the only culture that eat backwards. When you eat, you don't eat when you're hungry. Because if you eat when you're hungry, then you're going to overeat. And if you look at other cultures, their plates are not as big as American plates. Their spoons are not as big as our spoons. Because whatever you put on that spoon, you're going to eat. And usually it's too much. So everything's about portion sizes. Everything's about portion sizes. But for me, I think that the most important gift in my life has been nutrition.
Right. Oh, yeah, you really got to come back. I'm looking at this one chapter, learn how to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. That's something that, you know, we go through life. We wake up every day, we go to work, we come home, we got to feed the kids, we got to do this. We don't know how to take care of ourselves.
Wow.
You know, we're emotional eaters. When we're stressed out, we want to crunch, so we eat potato chips. When we're not feeling love or appreciated, we want the sugar for that love, that affection. When we get anxiety, we want the butter and the breads to appease the spirit. So we eat emotionally, opposed to just eating for two reasons. Whenever you put something in your body, it has to be for energy and for nutrition. And things as simple as fruit. People that eat fruit at night, you don't eat tempered, you don't eat tropical fruits at night. Mangoes, grapes or whatever. So your sweet fruits are for the day, for your energy, and your tempered foods are for the night that's going to rebuild the cells in the body and allow you to rest.
Wow, I like it.
Let me ask you, so we are not, so you're saying we are really not our bodies, because when you think about it,
We're not.
We are not our bodies. That is so profound. We are not our bodies because, one, our bodies are our own living organism, right?
Absolutely.
And so you are you, but your body is, oh my goodness, I can tell.
It's just thousand.
That light came on.
Well, only because when you think about it, you know, and it's just such a simple concept. So when you think about it, you know, you are feeding this body that either can do you some good or do you some injustice, right? But yet we sometimes still want to damage the bodies. I am about to evict this voice in my head saying that I want to snicker. That is interesting. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, that is. I mean, but that really, that's why you wrote this book, so it caused people to think. You know what I'm saying? You read this and it'll cause you to think. That's why you all write your books. And you, Sonia, you even have it digitally. So for people that don't have time to flip through a book, they can always go online or whatever. And I want you to explain that, because we're almost out, but I really need you to explain even with the digital books, because we all can put books online. Kathy, I'm sure have you put your book online?
Yes, you can get my book offline, yes.
Right. And in talking about what Jay was talking about our bodies and our life and feeding it, in you doing what you do and wanting to feed into others' lives, talk to me about a little bit of what's motivating you with now the door, Journey to the Unknown. Is that the one that caused you to start the Dugout 7?
Well, I see people just like me wanting to have their dreams be fulfilled. So what I do is I discover ordinary people with extraordinary gifts and talent and bring them to the forefront. There's a lot of people, a lot of kids have dreams to become actors, singers, and they don't know how to get across to the other side. So what I do is I discover them and give them a platform where they can demonstrate their talent.
Well, and also I want each one of you to make sure that we have contact information for you and that sort of thing. So people like you is what people need to connect to. And that's the purpose of Express Yourself, because we want to bring people that really care about others and be able to inspire them and enlighten them and encourage them through no matter what's going on in your life. There is a way for you to go to the right way, the better way.
Right.
the way that you were designed to go. And thinking about designing things, Sonia, before we go on a break, talk to me about the design and the purpose of the way your book is. We're going to, well, I'm getting a cutoff sign from a floor director. We might have to talk, but just to give you a inroad. When we come back from break, I want you to talk about the vision that you, it sounds like your preference is digital, even though you do print. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about that when we come back. And actually, this has been the fastest hour, I think, that I've ever had to do a show in, because if I'm not mistaken, we're on the way out, guys. So you definitely, we're on the way out, guys. So you all going to definitely have to come back. So let's get thoughts in our heads to wrap it up and give some encouraging words to the audience, because, like I said, you're going to have to come back. We'll be right back.
Do you have a product or service, or have a special event that you would like to announce to thousands in the DeKalb area? Well, reach out to us for our low introductory rate at www.eytvshow.com for our low introductory rate.
We're back. Oh, I tell you, this has been the fastest hour I've ever had to do a show, as I said on the break. So, guys, I want everybody to make sure you get all your contact information and give it to the audience. Matter of fact, let's do that now so we don't get at the end and everybody has to start rambling and carrying on, because this is very important to me, because everybody has such awesome information. And you, Kathy, with the performing arts, where people can come to you, I'm going to go to you. Give me your information and contact.
Well, you can visit our website at www.dugoutstudios.org, or you can email me at info@dugoutstudios.org, or you can call 678-651-3664. Thank you.
Okay, now it's going to be, we're going to have it so they can look forward to it, but I just need for you to get that out. Go ahead, Jay Moore.
Absolutely. If you want to write me and ask me any questions pertaining to health and nutrition and wellness, my website is jmorganbrown.com, and my email is steelpulse2@yahoo.com, and it's STEELPULSE2@yahoo.com.
All right, Miss Sonia, give your information, and we're going to continue our conversation.
I can be reached at SoniaNWilliams.com, SONJA, the letter N as in Nancy, Williams.com.
Okay, Joseph.
Yes, and I can be reached at josephbwashington.com. That's B like breaker.com, or you can email me at joseph@averagebreaker.com.
Okay, now, so let's get back into the wrap up of the conversation. Now, something that I do want to talk about, because like with you, Kathy, when you were talking about your dad gave you the go ahead to do what you, to do what you want to do, and you at 15, Sonia, and that sort of thing. And let's talk about the effect our families have in regards to what we do. When you mentioned it, Joseph, talk to me about the effect of family when it comes to making decisions.
Well, I think the old adage is, it takes a village to raise a child, but what do we do when the village has been asleep? And a lot of villages have been asleep. I fortunately didn't live in that type of a village. And although my mother had many issues, she had a love for her son and a desire to see me succeed. She gave me the permission, as you were talking about earlier, to go